The c5 square is a fork.
h6. Oh.
That's the idea.
Prepare thyself for some fire on the board, courtesy of Alireza Firouzja playing with the white pieces and Alexander Grischuk, affectionately known as Sasha, playing with black, Speed Chess Championship. This is an epic one, clock times on the left and match result to come with an epic move thrown in. We get e4 played as a starting move, best by test. And what does Sasha do? In honour of the Olympics, he plays a Vive la France. Alireza takes the centre, d5 for the high five, standard move, and the advanced variation played. Love it. We're in for a battle here. Of course, Grischuk advances the c pawn, but Alireza, he was pawned to be wild as well. Covers that one. We've got the opposite colour complex pawn structures set up. Knight c6 pressuring, knight f3 defending, and queen b6. An early move, intensifying the pressure. You have to tiptoe carefully in the French, or this bishop just gets squashed. Black lacks space. And now I like this plan. a3 from Alireza. So many ways to approach the position. We get bishop d7. That one's still crying, but a tiny bit less. It's slightly liberated, but b4, it can make any more tracks. Alireza pushes on with the p. We get takes on d4. Pawn recaptures, and where the rooks belong, open files, baby. Pressuring down to that one. Bishop b2 in response, and Alireza's like, anything you can do bad, I can do worse. Why is he putting the bishop on the same colour as all the pawns? Or maybe I should say that the sentence the other way around. Well, we're going to see his point in a minute, because after knight g7, knight c3, white's actually got some tasty ideas in line with dominating this square here and just generally having the more space. So what does Grischuk do to try and fight against this? Doesn't play a knight f5 move, kind of standard looking thing. He plays knight a5. That is one tricky dicky move. Using tactics, the bishop's undefended, and if you let it drop, then everything else starts dropping with it. So that's why we see knight a4, fighting against the queen. The bishop can take, but the queen recaptures. It's not actually best. Alexander plays the best move with queen c6. Now the knight hits the juicy outpost, and what do we see from Sasha? Knight c4. Look at the manoeuvring of these ponies. These guys must have been watching Cagnus Malson. He's been visualizing this kind of maneuvering in real life with his hobby horse. Incredible stuff. The top super GMs are doing. Yes, that's a lazy edit. I did it yesterday, but it's absolutely sweltering here in the UK. Can't be sat behind the editor all day. Let's crack on with the chess. The bishop drops back, but it still dominates this knight and influences the king side, and now we see b6. Getting rid of that bastion on c5. Now the queen recaptures, bishop d3 very natural, and b5. Cemento, as Peter Lecco would say. A man with more moves than... I can't even finish that sentence. One of the greatest chess players of all time. Now we see h4, and it's another great space gain from Alireza. Watch what he does with the rook now. Love it. Knight c6 played. h5 cracking on, and the longer you play chess, the longer you understand that this one just comes off the wrist automatically. You don't want to let the pawn advance, create the Swiss cheese on the dark squares. And what does Alireza now do? He looks up and he's like, do you even rook lift, bro? Brings that one into the game, looking to activate it. And now the favourite move of Stock Squid is pawn to a5. I really like that one, going after these pawns here. But a6 is played. It's given the miss, but there are worse misses. I mean, look at this. Pass clip of Grischuk here, sitting down at the wrong board. Absolutely classic of his style. This is not so bad as that. Now we see rook g4, and this is a moment where the king decides it needs to get out a dodge. So it starts tiptoeing through the tulips, over towards the queen side. Alireza, not to be outdone, goes for one of his own. We get king c7, king f1, king b7, king g2. They're set up on opposite flanks. We've got some excitement to come. Rook c7 now played, knight d2, and it starts a journey into the promised land. Look at these dark squares here, and I'm drawing on the board some of the best moves for black according to Stock Barnacle. Kind of nudgy waiting moves, plus a very overpowered rook move here. None of them played. Instead we see pawn to f6. Is Sasha really a 3-time Blitz World Champion or a very naughty boy? The computer doesn't like it. Looks so natural. But after takes, pawn recaptures, you're really opening up some squares to attack the black king. First the knight surges in. Now Grischuk takes the center. Looks amazing. You get captures. Pawn takes back. They're coming down like space invaders, but now rook g6. And the problem for black is all of those vacuous holes around the black king. Alireza wants to penetrate, we get pawn e4, and now everyone and his dog is playing bishop e2. It's just such a natural move. You know, you maybe look to spin around here, right? That sort of thing, open up pressure on the pawn. What does Alireza do? Like, look for a while and you might not even see this move unless you already know it. It's absolutely nuts. He plays the move of rook takes on h6. He's absolutely devilishly tricky, as Magnus once said.
Whoa! What? The c5
Rook
square's a
takes
force.
h6. Oh.
That's the idea.
But okay, I mean, Grischuk's like, what on earth? He is making his best WTF face.
And it's all about trying to gain access to this c5 square here. If bishop captures, then the knight hops with check. You win the queen here, that's game over. But hang on. What if rook captures? We go to analysis mode, the back cave here. It was the best move, but not played. Now, what did Grischuk not like? Well, after bishop captures, then you're also on here. Now, this is actually the best way to go, because after pawn takes bishop, bishop takes here, well, now there's this move cementing the pawn. And one of the key details is that if you go f4 to drive the knight away, you run into knight e3 check, picking up the queen. So black gets this valuable tempo. You can go check like this, give an exchange, the queen surges in. I need to stop saying surge. I must have had an electric shock earlier, and the pawn is completely covered. You've got full compensation for the exchange. So this was the way to go. But okay, we don't see takes on h6. Instead, the rook sidesteps, but it's not good. Now the bishop can save itself. Now best is actually taking apparently, then hopping a knight once more. We're not going to keep going down the line here. Instead, we see this move, and bishop f5, sorry, queen f5 or queen f7 is best. Basically, you want to take the rook, right? But if you take it, you run into this check. That's the problem. So what if you move the queen somewhere? Get out of that tactical issue and actually trap this rook's escape. Where's the rook actually going now? You can give up an exchange, it's one option, or you can go here, give up a pawn, giving up the exchange is best, but black stands better here. Center, exchange ahead. But Sasha misses it. He doesn't do that. He plays knight 6 to e5. You can't help but feel that Sasha of say 15, 20 years ago finds that idea. But okay, he's an older man now, so not so sharp in the tactical complications. The rook saves itself. Now we see bishop e7 hitting that cannon. It slides into f4. It's extricated itself from the danger, and queen d6. We've got some misses going on. We're not going to pause on every single one. We'll be here all day. It's speed chess. Alireza goes a4, and he's offering the pawn on b4 because then d5 drops with check. So that's why Sasha brings the rook to cover the center. Now we see ab. The rook open for this cannon. It's blasting, and after knight c5 check, black's even forced to give up the exchange. If you step back here, well, you're still running into a fork. That's not ideal. Forktown population Sasha. And if you come back here, well, worse than a fork, that's a checkmate. Beautiful stuff. So, rook takes forced. Now we see the pawn recapturing. Queen takes, rook f5. Hitting the knight with some pressure. Preparing bishop f4. Now we see queen c6. Coming onto a bit of an x-ray with the king. And what does Alireza do? In the time scramble, just randomizes it. Takes on e5. And it's a great practical decision. Of course not the favourite here of Stock Shark. But you get this dark square blockade. You've got pressure on a7 with rook and queen converging. This one's going to join the party soon. Very nice position. Now if you take here, then we see takes here, so that's why bishop d6 played. The bar rises hugely. You know what was best? Well, queen b6, really tough move to see, leaving an entire knight hanging. But this is then the sneaky point. You come on like this, you kebab the queen and rook. Who the heck is spotting that in blitz? Even classical. So not played. We get bishop d6, natural. Now bishop f4 best, but bishop b3 played. Huge threat to win that queen, and so that's why the bishop tucks back to b8. Alireza could have started with this check and invasion, by the way. Doesn't actually lead that far after king c8. So this is precise. He now goes bishop e3. He's still in the driver's seat, and look at this one, of course. If the heavy pieces and minor pieces leave the board, we see knight f3 hitting that lady. It checks from g7, rook blocks, and now keeping the queen on is best, as you can imagine when you're hunting the king and trying to escort a pawn home, but not played. Queen g6 offering the exchange here. It now allows d4, best move and played, and the bishop on e3 is really running short of squares. So Alireza plays the best move here, which is bishop h6. Getting it out of dodge, still defended by the queen. Now we see pawn d3, not best, knight e5 better, but we'll stick with the game here. Rook c1 hits the queen, forces this exchange, pawn recaptures, and now we see a centralization of the bishop, also covering this pawn to g7 idea. I mean, look at the power of these snipers, escorting the pawn home. Bishop e6 played, picks up a tempo on the rook, now drops into f5 here, and there's massive problems. How do you cover this one here? Moving this bishop out of the way, using the rook, this was best, but white's still in the driver's seat. Instead we see d2 in the time scramble. They're playing on seconds. Now this pawn drops with check, the king moves, the rook sidesteps, the knight's about to drop, anyone for a check from the back rank, king f1 played, and now we see bishop c3. Covers the d2 pawn, also inadvertently the knight, or does it? Alireza checks. Now we see the king move, and now the pawn drops off the board here. He's left a bishop hanging, yes, but he's threatening to win one of these pieces. This is how the game proceeded. Rook takes, high excitement. Now the tactics starting to fizzle out, or are they? The pawn's about to go through. So we see this rook come in behind. Now a check. Excellent from Alireza. King b6, the knight drops. Yes, Grischuk's got a passed pawn of his own, but Alireza is 2 to the good. And now this is the icing on the cake of a brilliant game. The pawn wants to go through. Also, you need to get back at this one. What does Alireza do? Rook to d4. Love that move. If you capture, a queen is made. So instead we see the pawn taken. Now this one drops with check. King here, rook e4, and it forces resignation from Grischuk. Simply the king will march in, the pawns will go, 2 extra ones, that's no good, playing against a super GM, or most levels of chess to be fair. I hope you enjoyed this epic game of chess. Smash subscribe if you did, and for another brilliant one, check out the video on screen, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.